Welcome back, everybody. Ready to dive deep with me again.
Always. What we got today?
Brian Tracy's Get Smart. How to think and act like the most successful and highest paid people in every field.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Right. Luckily, we've got Anil Nathu's one-hour guide to help us navigate this one.
Oh, good idea. Those long titles can be a bit intimidating.
Totally. But sometimes a book title just screams self-help, and I'm always a little wary of those.
Yeah, I get that.
But this one seems different. Like, it's actually aimed at folks like us, people who are into leadership, entrepreneurship, self-improvement, all that good stuff.
Interesting. What is it about this one that makes you think that?
Well, it's this whole premise that anyone can achieve their goals by adopting specific mental habits.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. Like, it's not about talent or luck, but about, like, rewiring your thinking.
Exactly. And the one-hour guide by Anil Nathu does a fantastic job of boiling down those key shifts in thinking.
So Tracy's basically saying we all have the potential for success, but our mindset might be what's holding us back.
Yeah, pretty much. He even uses this example of an entrepreneur who doubled their business in just 2 years, all thanks to focusing on goal-oriented thinking.
Whoa. Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Right. And it shows that we're talking about concrete changes here, not just some vague positive vibes stuff.
Gotcha. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. Chapter 1 tackles long-time perspective versus short-time perspective.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. Okay, so how do we even begin to unpack this?
Well, Tracy argues that successful people, they're not just thinking about tomorrow, they're playing the long game, like way down the line.
Like a chess grandmaster planning out all those moves in advance.
Exactly. They think about the consequences of their actions years down the road.
So I guess the question is, are you willing to sacrifice a little fun today for a bigger reward tomorrow?
Yeah,
Because that's the kind of discipline Tracy's talking about, right?
totally. And it's not just an opinion either. The one-hour guide by Anil Nathu actually highlights this really interesting study by Dr. Edward Banfield.
Oh, tell me more.
He found that it wasn't intelligence or background that determines success, it was time perspective.
Seriously. That's kind of wild.
I know, right? Makes you think.
It definitely does. All my procrastination might be more damaging than I thought.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Tracy offers strategies for actually shifting to this long-term mindset.
Like what?
One that really resonated with me is visualizing your future self.
Oh, like actually picturing yourself years down the road.
Exactly. If you can really imagine the person you want to become, it makes it easier to make choices that align with that vision.
I can see how that would help bridge that gap between who I am now and who I want to be.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, I want to be successful, I can picture what that success actually looks and feels like years from now.
Precisely. It helps you start making decisions that serve your future self, not just your immediate desires.
That's powerful stuff. Okay, so chapter 2 is where things get a little humbling. It's about slow thinking versus fast thinking.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm definitely a fast thinker. And honestly, sometimes it backfires on me.
Haha, I think we've all been there.
Right. But so Tracy's point is that both fast and slow thinking have their place.
That's what he argues, yeah. Like, fast thinking is great for everyday decisions. The routine stuff, like what you want for breakfast. That's your intuition at work.
Okay, makes sense. But I'm guessing when it comes to those bigger decisions, career changes, investments, starting a business, that's when we need to slow down.
Exactly. Slow thinking, it involves actually analyzing, weighing the pros and cons, thinking about different perspectives. It's less about gut feelings and more about gathering information and thinking it through.
So how do we actually slow down our thinking? Do we just need to drink more coffee?
Well, caffeine might keep you awake, but I don't think it'll improve your decision making.
True, true.
The key is to be aware of your thinking patterns. When you feel yourself jumping to a conclusion, you have to, pause. Take a breath and ask yourself, what information am I missing?
It's like creating a mental checklist before you make any big decisions.
Exactly, and Tracy actually gives you frameworks for doing that. One he calls due diligence.
What's that?
It's a process of thoroughly investigating before you commit to anything major.
So kind of like a detective gathering evidence before solving a case.
Exactly. And the one-hour guide by Anil Nathu really highlights this.
I can see how that would shift the focus from speed to accuracy. You're not trying to make the fastest decision, but the most informed one.
Exactly. And that leads us perfectly into chapter 3, which is all about, you guessed it, informed thinking versus uninformed thinking.
So Gathering all the right info before jumping into action.
Precisely. Tracy argues that informed thinking helps us avoid costly mistakes and make better choices overall. It's about being proactive, not reactive.
It's like the difference between impulsively buying a used car and actually doing your research to find a reliable vehicle.
Perfect example. You might save some time up front by making a quick decision, but you could end up with a lemon.
Yeah, no thanks. I'd rather be informed.
Right. So it's almost like a shift in mindset from, I hope this works out, to, I'm going to make sure this works out.
By being informed, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, this is getting good. Chapter 4 sounds like we're getting into the nitty-gritty of taking control. Goal-oriented thinking versus reaction-oriented thinking.
Oh, I love this one.
Right, it's like, are you the captain of your ship, or are you just letting the waves toss you around?
Such a powerful image. And Tracy argues that successful people, they're driven by their goals. They're not just reacting to whatever life throws at them.
So it's the difference between having a to-do list and just kind of wandering around hoping to bump into something productive.
Exactly. And the 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu emphasizes that it's not enough to just have goals either.
What do you mean?
They need to be specific, measurable. Vague goals lead to vague results.
So instead of saying, I want to be healthier, I should say, I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes, 3 times a week.
Exactly. Or, I'm going to eat 5 servings of vegetables every day. Give yourself something concrete to aim for.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together. But it sounds like long-term focus is key too.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to get distracted by short-term things. But successful people, they keep their eyes on the prize.
And that goes back to that long-time perspective we were talking about, right? It's all connected.
Exactly. It's like you're building this mental framework for success, brick by brick.
Wow, I'm already feeling inspired.
Me too.
Okay, chapter 5. Let's talk about getting things done. Result-oriented thinking versus activity-oriented thinking. What's the deal here?
All right, so this is where Tracy gets into the heart of productivity. He says it's not about being busy, it's about achieving actual results.
Oh, man. That hits a little too close to home some days.
Right. You could be running around all day doing a million things, but if you're not actually moving closer to your goals, then what's the point?
Ouch.
But Tracy gives us a framework for shifting from being activity-oriented to being result-oriented. He reminds us of the 80-20 rule.
The 80-20 rule. Remind him what that is again.
So it's the idea that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts.
Oh, right. So the trick is to figure out what that crucial 20% is.
Exactly. And the 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu gives some great examples of this in action.
Okay, so it's about being strategic with your time and energy, working smarter, not just harder.
You got it. It's about focusing on the activities that will actually make a difference, not the ones that just make you look busy.
Gotcha. Time to ditch the busy work and get things done.
Yeah.
Now, chapter 6 might sound a little cliche, but I'm curious to hear Tracy's take on it. Positive thinking versus negative thinking.
Oh, no, right? Positive thinking can get a bad rap.
Exactly. Like people think it's about ignoring problems or pretending everything's perfect.
Right. But Tracy's talking about something much deeper. He says positive thinking is a tool, like for resilience, for problem solving, for seeing opportunities. It's about choosing to focus on solutions, not just dwelling on the problems.
So it's not about being Pollyanna-ish. It's about having a can-do attitude.
Exactly. And it ties into the law of attraction, too, the idea that like attracts like.
Okay, yeah. If you're focusing on negativity, you're probably going to attract more negativity.
Right. But if you cultivate a positive mindset, you open yourself up to possibilities, to solutions that you might have missed otherwise.
Okay, this is all starting to click for me now. All these different thinking styles, they're not just separate things, they're all connected.
Exactly. It's what makes Get Smart so compelling. It's not just a collection of tips. It's a blueprint for changing your whole mindset.
Wow, this is a lot to process. Maybe we should take a break here and come back for part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
All right, we'll be back soon to explore the rest of Get Smart and unpack even more insights from this awesome book. Stay tuned.
Okay, so we left off talking about positive thinking. It's interesting.
What's that?
Tracy really emphasizes long-time perspective. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day stuff,
Oh, totally. I feel like I'm constantly in that mode.
Right. But Tracy really hammers home this idea of thinking about the long-term consequences of your actions, like making decisions that will benefit you not just today, but years from now.
I can definitely see the value in that, especially in today's world where everything is so instant. Like, we want gratification right away.
Exactly. It's a reminder to be patient, to play the long game, to make choices that reflect who you want to be in the life you want to live, you know?
I love that. Being intentional with your choices. It's like you're building a legacy.
Exactly. It's not just about achieving success for yourself, it's about making a positive impact on the world.
Okay, I'm getting chills. This is getting deep.
I know, right? But that's the beauty of Get Smart. It makes you think about the bigger picture and the power of your own thoughts.
So it's not just a self-help book. It's like a guide to creating a more meaningful life.
Precisely. It's about becoming the best version of yourself and using your talents to make a positive impact.
I'm so glad we're doing this deep dive. I feel like I'm learning so much.
Me too.
Okay, so we've talked about long-term thinking, informed decision-making, being productive instead of just busy, and having that rich thinking mindset. What else?
Well, we can't forget about flexibility and creativity
No.
and embracing that entrepreneurial spirit, even if you don't see yourself as a traditional entrepreneur.
Oh, right. Those are good ones.
And the thing is, all of these concepts are connected, you know? It's not just about picking one or two of these principles. It's about embracing a whole new way of thinking.
It's like a mental makeover.
Haha, yeah. You're developing a mindset that sets you up for success in all areas of your life.
Okay, this is awesome. I feel like we could talk about this for hours.
Me too. There's so much to Get Smart. It's one of those books you can keep coming back to and finding new insights every time.
It's like a treasure chest of wisdom.
Exactly.
Well, we're just about out of time for this part of our deep dive.
Oh, man.
But don't worry, we'll be back soon to continue our exploration of Get Smart. We've got so much more to uncover.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface.
Exactly. We'll delve even deeper into some of those specific strategies and techniques that Tracy talks about.
And we'll share some of our own personal experiences, too. You know, how we've actually applied these principles to our lives.
So stay tuned. We'll be back soon with more from Get Smart. Okay, so last time we were geeking out about all the amazing thinking styles in Get Smart.
Totally. And like how they're all kind of interconnected, right?
Yeah. Brian Tracy doesn't just give us these concepts. He gives us the tools to actually apply them.
And the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu really helps organize those tools, too.
Right. It's not enough to just know about these different ways of thinking. We need to know when to use them.
In real life, yeah.
Like, I get how long-time perspective is super important when you're thinking about retirement. But how does that same thinking apply to, like, dealing with a difficult coworker?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. Those feel like totally different situations.
They do, but you can still apply those concepts. Like in that coworker situation, maybe long-time perspective means thinking, okay, how will my reaction today impact our relationship 6 months from now?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So instead of just reacting in the moment, you're thinking strategically.
Even in those, like, everyday interactions.
Exactly. And that same strategic thinking can be applied to, well, almost anything. Negotiating a salary, eating healthy, even how you spend your free time.
It's about aligning your actions with what you actually want.
Big and small, yeah.
Okay, so Get Smart isn't just a business book. It's like a life manual.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's about weaving these different thinking styles into like every part of your life.
Which reminds me, you mentioned finding a balance between different thinking styles.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need both slow thinking and fast thinking,
I
right?
do. It's not about picking one over the other.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm like, wait, which one am I supposed to use right now?
Uh-huh. Right. But it's about understanding what each approach is good for.
So fast thinking, our intuition, is great for those everyday decisions.
Yeah, the routine stuff. But when it's a bigger decision, something that really matters.
That's when we need to slow down and think things through.
Yep.
But how do we know when to switch between the two?
Well, it takes practice.
Okay, fair enough.
It's like learning new language. At first, you have to really focus, but then it becomes more natural.
Like second nature?
Exactly.
So we're not going to master all these thinking styles overnight.
Probably not.
But the more we practice, the better we get.
Yeah, you build that mental muscle.
And Get Smart is our training guide.
How about that?
It helps us understand how our minds work and how to make them work even better.
I feel like I could talk about this stuff all day.
Me too. There's just so much to Tracy's work. It's one of those books you can reread and keep finding new things.
It's true.
Well, I guess all good things must come to an end. This has been an awesome deep dive into Get Smart.
It really has.
Hopefully you all got a taste of all the amazing insights this book has to offer.
And don't forget, Anil Nathu's 1 Hour Guide is a great way to get a quick overview of the key takeaways.
Totally. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.